It's Western Groove back with another video. Today we're gonna break down this Canelo versus Triple G fight. We're gonna try to make this go fast and smooth. So the attributes that we're gonna judge are age, power, speed, footwork, foot speed, stamina, ring IQ, heart, chin, experience, and the X factor. And at the end of all of that, I'm gonna give you my final prediction for the fight. So let's start. So once we go to age, we know that Gennady Golovkin is older. He's 35, and Canelo Alvarez is what, 27 years old. So there's a pretty decent disparity in age. Some people use that as a factor in a fight. They say that Canelo is still in his prime, while Triple G is not a bad fighter. He's on the top of the hill. He's slightly on the other side, just barely slightly on his decline. So other than that, we're gonna move on into power. I think the power advantage clearly goes to Triple G. We saw Canelo fight Chavez, who threw no punches back. He couldn't knock Chavez down, didn't stop Chavez. It never got to the point where the ref had to step in and break it up. Triple G, I mean, we know his 89% KO ratio, and what is Canelo standing at? Oh, they're not showing Canelo's KO ratio, but we can kind of guess it. He has a 67% KO ratio. Canelo fought Cotto, who was much smaller than him, and he didn't knock down or stop Cotto. Uh, some of us say that Canelo carried Cotto. He could have got him out of there, and he didn't go out all the way, but then I kind of asked the question of, all right, if you're going to say that Canelo carried Cotto, then why does Triple G get so much flack when people say that he has carried fighters, I don't think that Canelo carried Cotto. I think that Canelo was respectful of Cotto. I think that Canelo realized that if he kind of threw caution to the air and was reckless against Cotto, that even though Cotto didn't seem to have the ability to hurt Canelo, that Cotto was a slick veteran who could capitalize on Canelo's mistakes and possibly turn the fight around in his favor. So I'm going to give the power advantage to Triple G. He stops guys. He knocks them out. And Canelo, we see him in these fights where he should be stopping these guys and he doesn't. You can say he didn't stop Trout. He didn't stop Laura. And that's because those guys are slick boxers who he couldn't land these flush punches on. But he was teeing off on Cotto. He was teeing off on Chavez. And he couldn't. He got the job done as far as the win, but he couldn't get the knockout. He couldn't get the stoppage. He didn't get knocked down. Like, even Triple G knocked down Daniel Jacobs when Daniel Jacobs was probably 180 pounds. And we saw that Canelo couldn't knock out Cotto when Cotto was probably 160 pounds. You know what I mean? We're going to move on, though. Speed. It's obvious as well. That goes to Canelo. Canelo has the better hand speed. I mean, I don't really know how much more we need to go into that. If you ever seen a Canelo highlight and a Triple G highlight, that was probably the thing that stood out the most. Was that Canelo has a explosive style. His punches come fast and in bunches. He's one of the top combination punchers that we have in boxing today. So now we're gonna move on to footwork and foot speed. This one's kind of difficult because both of these guys have slow feet, but at the same time, both of these guys have some pretty decent footwork. So the way I'm going to give it to them is I'm going to say the foot speed advantage goes to Triple G, and I'm going to say the foot work advantage goes to Canelo. I think Canelo has slicker footwork. I think Canelo understands. Canelo has. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and get into this ring IQ. I'm gonna give that one to Actually, I'm gonna wait. Right, hold. We're gonna back up on that. We're gonna stay with the footwork. Canelo has better footwork than Triple G. Triple G has better foot speed. Triple G will stay if the fight plays out typically how a Triple G fight, how we would think a Triple G and Canelo fight will play out. Triple G will have the foot speed to always stay near Canelo, but Canelo will have the footwork to throw combinations, get out of the pocket laterally, throw combinations from his next side. Even though his foot speed won't be extraordinary as he does these things, he'll show in the fight that he has better footwork than Triple G. And Triple G's foot speed is just to stay in front of you, just to cut you off. He doesn't have the foot speed to turn it to throw a combination and turn an angle and then move out laterally, then jump back in with a jab and hop out, then hop back in the pocket and throw a combination, then get back out of the pocket laterally. That's something that Canelo will be more capable of doing in this fight, especially towards Gennady Golovkin, because Triple G doesn't have the footwork to keep up. Stamina. I mean, I guess if you have to give an advantage in stamina, it has to go to Triple G because Triple G hasn't shown signs of being tired later in fights. I mean, I've never seen a fighter get into a tough fight and be this exact same as they were in the first 4 rounds as they are in the last 2 or 3 rounds. But we kind of get it, just that overall fatigue. We never seen Triple G there, and we've seen Canelo there a handful of times. He's definitely improved on his stamina, but there was times before Canelo's last few fights where we were seeing Canelo start to gas out in the fifth or sixth round. So we're gonna have to give this to Triple G. He's never showed us any signs. Ring IQ. This is another hard one. I think that this one is almost a tie. I think that they have different levels of ring IQ. Just like you have different levels of intelligence. You might have someone who's a doctor, but you might have someone who's really street smart. So it's not that either one is smarter than the other. It's not that either one is dumb. It's just that they're both intelligent in different areas. Canelo's intelligence comes in the way of just how he was brought up, just how being brought up in Mexico and becoming professional at 15 and fighting all these grown men. Canelo knows how to go in there and try and find a way. Canelo, that's we've seen Canelo do that. We've seen Canelo go into fights and find a way to win. When it's kind of seeming like it's getting out of his hands, he's been able to switch up ever so minorly to get the win. Even if, some of the decisions have been controversial, he still gets the win. We haven't seen Triple G in that situation. We haven't seen Triple G. The one time we saw it with Triple G with Jacobs, he was just on his jab, so we never seen it multiple times. We never seen Triple G hurt. We never, so we never see these certain things that we've seen from Canelo to be able to say that, that's the reason we can say, oh, Canelo, he has some decent ring IQ because we've seen him in these certain situations inside of the ring, and we saw how he handled them, and he handled those situations well. His only loss is to Mayweather, which almost makes his record look like an O. It almost looks like he's 49-0 with one draw, because a Mayweather loss is kind of just, it's just one of those things. It's like death. It's gonna happen to everyone. So I'm gonna give the ring IQ advantage to Canelo. Heart, I'm giving the heart advantage to Canelo. I think that Canelo, being Mexican from Mexico, prideful, and I just think that Canelo's more of a dog than Triple G. I think that if both fighters are just laying thunderous punches on each other and in the trenches, and it gets dirty and intense and emotional in the ring, I think that if one of them were to fall, if one of them were to not just fall in, as I mean like a knockdown, like if one of them were to crumble under that pressure, I think that it would be Triple G. I don't think that. I think that if it gets to a certain point where one of these guys are gonna have to stop fighting, I think that Triple G would be first to decide that he can't take it anymore. Not even just the punishment, but mentally he can't take it anymore. That someone is standing in front of him that he's laying thunderous shots on, and that same person is throwing punches back at him, landing thunderous shots on him. I think that mentally it could break him when you have a fighter who's 37 and 0 and he's never been through an experience like that. You know, we've seen Canelo lose. We've seen Canelo get hurt. We've seen Canelo have to come back and win a fight when he's down on the cards numerous times. We know what Canelo's heart is made of, so he's getting that advantage. Next, we're going to chin advantage. I'm giving that to Triple G. Triple G has been fighting at 160 pounds his whole career. Uh, Canelo had fucking Canelo weight at 155, and then he made super Canelo weight at 164 and a half to fight Chavez Jr. You know, we never seen him at we never seen Canelo at middleweight. We've never seen Canelo fight a puncher. That's the thing, and that's part of the reason that the fight is so close, in my opinion, is that yeah, perhaps Canelo does have some skills, some tools that Gennady Golovkin doesn't possess, but we all know in boxing a punch can change everything because that's the name of the game is a punch. And Canelo's defense and his fighting style isn't set up like a Mayweather where he just doesn't take any punches throughout the fight. You know, he's more Canelo's more offensive and even when he is defensive, his defense just isn't set up like that. His defense isn't as perfected as a Mayweather. Uh, if you look through Canelo's fights, who's his last fights? Uh, Chavez Jr., Liam Smith, Amir Khan, Miguel Cotto, James Kirkland, Lara, Angulo, Mayweather, Trout. You know, he's uh, Lopez, Mosley on the come down. You know, he hasn't fought someone his size who can punch. So now he's fighting someone who is his size or potentially bigger than him who punches harder than him. So we don't really know where Canelo's chin is at. We don't really know where Canelo's body is at. We don't know if Triple G is able to sustain a body attack for a few rounds, how that will affect Canelo, because we've never seen him in these situations because of the opponents that he has chosen to fight. We know that Canelo can hang with a slick boxer, but that's not what Triple G is. He's not a slick boxer. He has a very educated jab. He has a very educated pressure style, but he is not a slick boxer. He hits hard and he's gonna come at Canelo with the jab out and he's gonna try and hit Canelo hard. And we just don't know how Canelo's gonna take that. But we've seen Triple G fight guys like Daniel Jacobs, David Lemieux, Martin Murray, when he fought Curtis Stevens, Rosado. Like we seen him fight these bigger guys and take punches, and these guys aren't, world beaters or anything, but when it just comes to taking a punch and nothing else, not skill set or anything, just taking a punch, he's been taking punches from 160 pounders, and some of the 160 pounders are known to be punchers. He's taking punches from Curtis Stevens and David Lemieux, and look at their fight. You know what I mean? Their fight was a barn burner. That could potentially be fight of the year. Moving on to experience, Canelo has more experience because of the resume. Canelo started fighting professionally when he was 15 because the amateur system in Mexico is kind of wishy-washy, I guess you can say. He just wanted to make some money or whatnot. So he started professionally young, and that's how come his record is 49 wins. When 40, he has 52 fights, and he's only 27. And you see, Triple G is 35 with 37 fights. It's just because Canelo started younger, but along that way, Canelo has fought more guys that we know of. Canelo has fought Cotto. Canelo has fought Laura. He's fought Mayweather. He's fought Trout. He's fought Mosley. You know, he's fought guys where even if they couldn't pose a danger to him with their punching power, they pose dangers to him with their intelligence, with their experience in the ring. And for Canelo to go in there and be able to figure shit out over the course of the fight, to be able to win all those fights, because besides the Mayweather fight, and he's improved tremendously since the Mayweather fight, but that's more experience. Triple, just like we talked about Canelo struggling in certain fights, that gives you experience. Triple G wasn't afforded this luxury, so he doesn't have the experience. When things get changed up and they're not going the way Triple G wants them to go, he doesn't have the experience mentally, and he doesn't have the experience when it comes to forming a skill set. He doesn't have that experience when it comes to forming a skill set or a mindset of, oh shit, what happens when you're trying to do this in the ring and it's not completely going your way. X Factor. I'm going to give the X Factor to Canelo. The reason being is that we all know Canelo ducked Triple G. We all know Canelo dropped his belt, and he's salty at the WBA because they were trying to make that fight happen, and he wasn't sure of himself at the moment. He like the excuse that Canelo and Oscar De La Hoya will make is that Canelo wasn't a 160 pounder. Then why fight at 155 when you could lose one more pound? Fight at 154, and you could have fought on Andrade. You could have fought the Charlo brothers. You could have fought a rematch with Lara. You had options at 154, but instead of fighting in that established division with champions who you could have mixed it up with and got belts from, you fought at 155 so you could avoid all of those fighters and cherry pick the fighters that you want to fight, because you're a name in the sport, so anybody will fight you because it'll be one of their best paydays they could possibly get. So then you want to fight for the belt because you want to get this big money payday with Cotto, and the name of the game is what everybody knows from the beginning, that everyone recognizes, is that the winner of this fight fights Triple G. You're fighting for a middleweight title, and you fought that fight, you won, and then you tried to act surprised when they told you that you would have to fight Triple G, and you dropped the belt. And now you've been working up all that time to build your own confidence so that you can feel as if you could beat Triple G. Through all that time, people posting chicken emojis on your Instagram, writing Triple G to you. I seen videos of Canelo in Mexico with drunk Mexican fans yelling, screaming at him. Canelo's just sitting there watching one of his brothers fight, or just watching some local fighter, and the fan is just screaming at him, fight Triple G, fight Triple G. His own countrymen, are looking at him like suspect, like, nigga, you dropped the belt to avoid this dude. And in Mexico, the way that they pride is set up is you don't do that. You go in the ring right then and there, and if you get knocked out, you get knocked out. That's just how it is sometimes. So I give the X factor to Canelo because Canelo is the one coming into this fight with a chip on his shoulders. You know, everyone's calling him a ducker. Everyone's saying that Canelo can't beat him. That Triple G is gonna knock him out. This is Canelo. If Canelo wins this fight, this this is a legacy defining fight more so for Canelo. It is for both of them, but more so for Canelo. You know, Canelo is the underdog. Canelo is the one supposedly ducking. He's the shorter, smaller guy. He's the one who hasn't fought at 160. He's the one that, if you expect a knockout, you more likely expect Triple G to knock out Canelo. So now I'm going to get my final prediction of the fight. My full final prediction. Now, I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to predict a knockout, but I'm going to say this. If it goes to the cards, Canelo wins. There is no way for Triple G to win the fight on the cards. Triple G can beat Canelo's ass from round 1 to round 14 in a 12-round fight, and Triple G will not win the decision. Why? Because it's Golden Boy promoted, and Golden Boy is the most crooked, corrupted promotional company in boxing right now. That's making these big fights. Definitely Golden Boy. Canelo, we all see in Canelo's career, he cannot lose a decision. When he fought Khan, he knocked Khan smooth out. Like Khan was sleeping before he even hit the ground. But the rounds leading to that, we all saw Khan boxing good, putting in work. And at the end of the fight, come to find out that Khan was losing on 2 of the 3 judges' scorecards. Like, you have to really ask yourself with that fight, what more was Khan to do? What more was he to do moving from 147 to 155, known to be chinny, fighting Canelo, who's known to punch hard? What else could he do to win a fucking round besides what he was doing? And he still couldn't win a round. It's because Golden Boy, they're not going to let Canelo, their bread and butter, their cash cow, they're not going to let this dude lose a decision. This is what they'll end up doing. And like I'm telling you, if Triple G whoops on Canelo, but it goes to the cards, Canelo is getting the decision. And then they're going to make a rematch. Because, hey, we see that Canelo can't beat this guy. So we gave him the win, so his record reflects that. We give him the rematch. Triple G will take the rematch because, you know, he wants to avenge that. Like, I beat his ass and I got robbed. So I want to avenge that. So then they'll have the rematch. They'll probably be fair in the rematch. Give Triple G his win. And then it's like, hey, Canelo lost, but at least we got 2 really big paydays out of it. You know, you're cashing out your cash cow. You're going to milk them. So Triple G has to go in there thinking about a knockout. So with that in mind, my final prediction for this fight is round 12. Canelo will stop Triple G. In round 12, Canelo's going to stop Triple G in the last round of the fight. And I say that because I think that it could potentially be such a dogfight, so hellish, that it goes back to that mental aspect I speak about, where Triple G hasn't been in these situations. He is like Triple G is he'll be the rich boy who grew up rich with rich parents, and his rich parents die one day, and he's just a grown rich person, but he doesn't know how to handle his money well. So then one day he goes broke, or not even broke. He goes to be a 800,000-aire instead of being able to spend $12 million a year. He can only afford to spend 500,000. just knocking them down a notch. It messes with people mentally when that's all they know. And that's all Triple G knows is being the aggressor, being the one in the ring that's perceived to be the killer, being the one in the ring between the two when you guys are in the heat of battle to be the big dog. But I don't think that Canelo will easily let him take that. Now Triple G might go out there and get it from him, but Canelo won't let him have that easily. And I believe in the 12th round, for that reason, Triple G will mentally break down and he'll stop fighting. And Canelo will win the fight. It's Western Groove, and I'm out.
I'll always dream a dream with you. Those things we meant to say and do. Keep them afloat. Someday we'll make them so.